The alien council chamber was filled with the low hum of machinery, its sterile metallic walls reflecting the blue glow of countless holographic screens. The members, seated in their rigid, high-backed chairs, stared blankly at the data flowing before them, an array of technical jargon that meant little more than routine. Nothing had prepared them for what was to come. A sudden beeping shattered the silence, a series of sharp, irregular tones that broke the monotony. The head scientist, a being with skin like polished obsidian, stood abruptly, his tentacles twitching in anxious jerks. "Commander," he said, his voice a near whisper, "you need to see this." The commander, a tall, regal figure with angular features, shifted his gaze to the scientist. Without a word, he rose from his seat, his black armor gleaming faintly in the low light as he crossed the room. He was accustomed to receiving updates on alien scans, debris recoveries, and occasional anomalies, but this felt different. The scientist, trembling ever so slightly, gestured to the central hologram. "We found something unusual," he said, his voice laced with disbelief. The hologram expanded to reveal the image of a wrecked object, its surface scorched and torn, a long streak of dark metal across its structure. What was most puzzling, however, was what flew from the wreckage, tattered yet unmistakable, an old worn flag, a symbol the commander had not seen in millennia. "That flag," the scientist continued, "it's human. From Earth." The word sent a shock through the room. The council froze, the air thickening with tension. Earth, once a thriving world full of promise, had been wiped out by a galactic war long ago. No one had seen proof of its existence in centuries. Even the best historians had written it off as a myth. Yet here it was, an artifact of the past, a flag, faded but undeniably real. Its colors, still vibrant despite the damage, seemed to glow against the backdrop of the shattered wreck. The commander narrowed his eyes. "Activate the scanners. Now." The ship's internal systems hummed as the devices began their work. The council watched as streams of data filled the air, graphs and numbers flashing faster than the eye could follow. The scientist worked feverishly, his tentacles dancing over the controls, setting parameters, adjusting scans. The commander stood motionless, his heart racing, a deep unease creeping up his spine. "Is it possible?" the scientist murmured, scanning the results. He adjusted the data display, but the image did not change. The flag fluttered in space, seemingly unaffected by the void, as though suspended in time. But something was wrong. The readings were irregular, more complex than any object they had ever studied. "It's not just a flag," the scientist said, his voice trembling. "It's alive. The readings show energy signatures we've never encountered. The material is beyond our understanding. It's as if it's regenerating." A ripple of disbelief passed through the council. The commander stepped closer, his eyes scanning the data. "Explain." The scientist took a shaky breath. "The flag's core structure is being held together by an unknown energy source. It's like it's communicating, sending signals. The flag isn't just a piece of cloth, it's a device. Impossible," the commander muttered. He stepped back, his gaze narrowing. "Are you saying that this flag has been waiting for us? For centuries?" The scientist swallowed, unsure how to proceed. "Not just waiting, it's reacting to our presence. The scan is causing a fluctuation in the energy signature, like it's aware of our actions." The tension in the room thickened. The commander's mind raced, his thoughts a whirlwind of fear and doubt. Earth had been erased from the galaxy's history. Any references to it were regarded as nothing more than legend, stories told by primitive species who still clung to tales of their origins. And yet here was proof that not only had Earth existed, but that the humans who had once inhabited it were not gone. The council members exchanged uneasy glances. The fear was palpable. Something had been awakened, and it was beyond their comprehension. The commander's voice cut through the stillness. "What does it mean?" he asked, his tone cold and authoritative. What does this signal? The scientist hesitated, his eyes flickering with a mixture of awe and fear. It means that humanity, the species we thought extinct, has not been wiped from existence. They've left a trace. And this flag, this message, it's their way of coming back. A heavy silence filled the room. The commander's eyes locked onto the flag. It fluttered gently in the hologram, defying the vacuum of space as though the stars themselves could not extinguish it. It was a symbol of something long forgotten, something that the galaxy had dismissed as irrelevant. But it was not irrelevant, and it was far from powerless. The scientist's voice faltered as he spoke again. The signal is not just data, it's a command. The room went cold. A command. The implications were too vast, too dangerous to comprehend. Prepare a full analysis, the commander ordered, his voice firm, his mind now set. Send this data to all available units. We need to know everything about this human presence, their technology, and their plans. The council members scrambled to comply, their hands moving over controls as alarms began to sound, signaling a shift in their mission. The commander turned toward the massive windows, staring out into the vast emptiness of space, the stars swirling in an infinite dance. He could feel the weight of what was to come pressing on his shoulders. Earth was a myth, a dead world, or so they had thought. But now, as the flag flickered before them, they had awoken something long buried, and the galaxy was about to find out just how dangerous that something was. The commander exhaled slowly. Get ready. Humanity's legacy is far from over. As he spoke, the flag's colors seemed to shift, almost imperceptibly, as though it was watching them, waiting for the moment when the true battle would begin. The alien ship hummed as it moved silently through space, its sleek, angular design a reflection of its creator's efficient, utilitarian nature. The crew moved in calculated, synchronized patterns, each member a cog in the vast machinery of their race. On the bridge, the commander stood at the forefront, watching the stars beyond the reinforced glass as his thoughts churned. The data from the flag had been sent out to every corner of the galaxy, to every system that could scan and analyze the findings. The response had been immediate: chaos. Every faction that had written off humanity as nothing more than a ghost story had now begun mobilizing. The ripple of the discovery had spread far beyond the Council's expectations. The commander's mind raced as he sifted through the reports, scanning each with the calculated precision his position required. The energy signature from the flag was unlike anything they had encountered, and there was no precedent to understand its behavior. It was clear now that the flag wasn't just a relic. It was a beacon, a call to action. Commander. The voice of the lead tactician broke through his thoughts. She was a sharp, analytical mind, her focus never wavering from the task at hand. We've received transmissions from the Centauri sector. They're preparing for a full-scale mobilization. They want to send a team to investigate Earth's location. They claim they've discovered human vessels hidden within the asteroid belt. The commander turned slowly, his sharp eyes narrowing. How could they have missed them? Earth has been lost to the galaxy for centuries. There were never any traces left, no signs of habitation. The tactician stepped closer, her holographic display flickering as she pulled up the data. It appears Earth's inhabitants had some kind of advanced cloaking technology. These ships are virtually undetectable unless you know where to look. She hesitated, glancing at the commander. And now, with the flag's energy signature, it's clear that Earth's remnants have been waiting for a moment like this. The commander clenched his fists at his sides. The implications were staggering. A hidden fleet of human vessels, undetected, waiting for the moment to emerge. But what did that mean for the rest of the galaxy? Were they preparing for war? Or had they been dormant, awaiting a signal of their own? Prepare the fleet, the commander ordered, his voice low and commanding. We need to secure the Centauri sector before they make any moves. I want to know everything about these ships. Are they automated? Are there humans aboard? What kind of firepower are we dealing with? Understood, Commander, the tactician said, her fingers flying over the control panel. As the crew scrambled to follow orders, the commander's thoughts lingered on the flag. He had witnessed the flickering of its colors through the hologram, its fluttering motion a symbol of defiance against the vacuum of space. The human spirit, it seemed, was not easily extinguished. He turned back to the stars, his mind now fully focused. Earth, the planet he had thought nothing more than a myth, had left behind more than just memories. It had left behind a legacy, one that seemed to be reawakening with a vengeance. The hum of the ship's engines faded into the background as a new message came through, this one from a far-off system known for its cutting-edge technology. The message was brief, almost cryptic. "Commander, we've encountered something unusual. A ship, abandoned but functional. It seems to be one of humanity's vessels. It's waiting." The commander's jaw tightened. A human ship, waiting? How was that possible? "Show me the data," he ordered sharply. A few moments passed before the holographic display flickered to life, revealing the eerie image of a ship drifting in the dark, its surface covered in the scars of battle. The markings were unmistakable, human. There was no mistaking the insignia on the hull. It was one of theirs, a relic of a long-dead civilization. "That ship is far older than anything we've seen before," the tactician remarked, her voice tinged with awe. "It's a warship, but its design is unlike any of the modern vessels we've encountered." The commander studied the image carefully. The ship was battered, its weapon systems dormant, but there was a presence to it, something ancient yet powerful, as if the ship had been waiting for a time to reawaken. "But why?" "Keep me updated on any further developments," the commander said, his tone unwavering. "Prepare the fleet for engagement. If there are human vessels out there, we need to know their capabilities." He turned back to the stars, his mind racing. The galaxy was on the verge of something monumental. If humanity had indeed returned, it would change everything. The balance of power, the alliances, the enemies, they would all be thrown into disarray. But most concerning of all was the question, what did humanity want, and how far would they go to reclaim their place in the galaxy? The commander's grip on the railing tightened. He could feel it now, the weight of the impending storm. The flag, the ship, the hidden fleet. They were all part of something far larger than he had anticipated. Humanity's legacy was far from over, and the galaxy had just been reminded of the price of underestimating them. As he stood in the silent command center, the stars outside seemed to mock him. Humanity, a species once thought extinct, was coming back, and when they did, the galaxy would be forced to remember the lessons of the past. With a deep breath, the commander gave his final order: prepare for the unknown. The legacy of Earth will soon be upon us, and we must be ready. The silence of space stretched out beyond the hull of the alien ship, broken only by the soft hum of its engines and the occasional crackle of communication through the command center systems. The commander stood at the forward viewport, his gaze fixed on the endless expanse of stars, his mind consumed by the uncertainty of what lay ahead. The discovery of the human flag had sent shockwaves through the galaxy, and now the commander could feel the weight of the galaxy's expectations pressing down on him. He had never believed the stories about Earth. In fact, he had dismissed them as nothing more than myths, a part of the galactic folklore passed down through the ages. But now, with the flag and the mysterious ship, the commander had been forced to confront the truth. Humanity had not only existed, but had left behind a legacy far more intricate and dangerous than anyone could have imagined. The warship that had been discovered was not the only surprise. Scans from other regions revealed more traces of human technology, hidden in the far reaches of space, dormant but undisturbed. What had once been dismissed as mere artifacts were now recognized as part of a much larger puzzle. What was humanity's role in the galaxy, and why had they disappeared, only to leave these cryptic signs of their existence? "Commander," the voice of the tactician interrupted his thoughts, pulling him back to the present. "The fleet is ready for deployment. We've received new information from the Centauri sector. There's been a disturbance. Multiple ships have appeared in the asteroid belt. They're heavily shielded, and their movement is erratic. We believe they might be human vessels, but we're not sure yet. The commander turned, his mind shifting gears as he walked over to the central console. The holographic display flickered to life, showing a map of the asteroid belt, now peppered with multiple unidentified signatures. The ships were not responding to communication, and their energy signatures were unstable. It was a puzzle, one that seemed to get more complicated with each passing moment. "Are they actively engaging?" the commander asked, his tone calm but authoritative. "Not yet, Commander. But they are positioning themselves. It's as though they're waiting for something, or someone." The commander frowned. He had seen this kind of tactic before. A ship lying in wait, seemingly dormant but capable of action at a moment's notice. It was a defensive strategy, designed to catch an enemy off guard. But who were these ships waiting for? And why did they remain hidden for so long? "Send a reconnaissance team. I want eyes on the situation immediately. Don't engage unless absolutely necessary. We need to understand who we're dealing with." "Understood, Commander," the tactician replied, inputting the orders into the system. "Sending a scout ship now." The commander nodded, watching as the scout ship's icon blinked onto the map heading toward the asteroid belt. He felt the tension in his gut rise. This was no longer just a routine mission. Whatever was happening out there, it was significant. Humanity's presence, whether hidden or dormant, was about to be revealed in a way that could shake the entire galaxy. As the scout ship made its way toward the asteroid belt, the commander turned his attention back to the human flag, which had been carefully stored in a secure lab aboard the ship. The energy readings from the flag had been consistent, fluctuating only when it was directly observed or interacted with. It was as if it were alive, responding to its surroundings in ways that no known material could. "The flag," the commander muttered to himself, his thoughts returning to the mysterious artifact. "It's more than just a symbol. It's a message, and if it's alive, then it's waiting for something." The more he thought about it, the more the implications grew. Could the flag have been activated by some external force, or was it calling to something, or someone? Humanity's legacy had to be far more advanced than anyone had realized if this was the technology they had left behind. And now, with the discovery of these ships, it seemed that the galaxy was about to be forced to reckon with what humanity had left behind. "Commander?" The voice of the lead scientist came through the intercom, interrupting his thoughts once again. "The human vessel we found, the one we thought was abandoned, it's not empty." The commander's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" "The ship is alive," the scientist said, his voice tinged with awe and disbelief. "It's been in stasis for centuries, but it appears to be reawakening. There are systems activating, defense protocols, weapons systems, even communication arrays. It's as if the ship is being brought back online intentionally." "By whom?" the commander demanded. "Who is controlling it?" The scientist's voice faltered. "That's just it, Commander. There's no sign of any crew. But the ship is following a pattern as if it's responding to a command, a signal. And we've detected some kind of encrypted transmission coming from deep within the vessel. We can't fully decrypt it yet, but it seems to be human in origin." The commander stood still, the gravity of the situation sinking in. Humanity had not just disappeared. It had left behind an army of dormant ships, and now they were coming back online. This was no coincidence. Whatever force had set these ships into motion was deliberate, and it was only a matter of time before they made their move. "Send a team to investigate," the commander ordered, his mind racing. "I want to know everything about that ship. If it's broadcasting a signal, I want to know who, or what, it's trying to reach." The scientist acknowledged the order, and the commander turned back to the map, watching the scout ship as it neared the asteroid belt. The situation was escalating quickly, and every decision from here on out would have far-reaching consequences. As the scout ship neared its destination, the commander's thoughts were interrupted by a loud, urgent beeping from the communications console. The tactician's voice came through, sharp and panicked. "Commander, the fleet is under attack. We've encountered hostile forces near the asteroid belt. They're human, no doubt about it, and they're heavily armed." The commander's heart raced. "Engage defensive protocols, prepare for combat, no retreat." The tension on the bridge was palpable as the crew moved with military precision, engaging their weapon systems and preparing for the battle ahead. The commander stood firm, his eyes locked on the asteroid belt where the scout ship was now reporting increasing levels of activity. It was clear now. Humanity was not just surviving, it was returning, and it was ready to reclaim its place in the galaxy. The first shots rang out as the alien ships came into contact with the human fleet. The impact was immediate and devastating. The humans had far more advanced weaponry than anticipated, and their ships moved with a brutal efficiency that made the commander's blood run cold. These were not primitive vessels, they were highly trained, highly organized forces. "Report," the commander shouted over the chaos of the bridge. "We're taking heavy fire," the tactician reported. "Their shields are holding strong. Our weapons are ineffective at this range." The commander cursed under his breath. He had underestimated humanity's capabilities. What had once been a myth, a distant memory of a long-lost civilization, had now proven to be a force capable of challenging even the most powerful factions in the galaxy. "Activate all available weapons," the commander ordered, his voice firm. "Move the fleet into position. We will not let them gain any ground." As the battle raged on, the commander's thoughts turned back to the flag, to the ship that had awakened, and to the legacy of Earth that had been dormant for so long. Humanity had not just survived. They had adapted, evolved, and now they were ready to strike back. And when they did, the galaxy would be forced to remember who they were. The commander could feel it. Earth was no longer a myth, it was a threat, and the galaxy would soon realize the price of underestimating humanity. The battle was raging in full force. The star streaks of the battle lit up the black void of space, as alien and human forces clashed with devastating ferocity. On the command bridge of the alien flagship, the commander paced back and forth, his sharp eyes scanning the tactical display with a mix of disbelief and grudging respect. Humanity, the species they had all written off as extinct, was proving to be far more than a myth. The ships they had encountered were not just relics. They were formidable, filled with advanced technology that rivaled and even surpassed their own. "Status report," the commander barked, his voice steady but tinged with urgency. "Commander, their forces are relentless," the tactician reported. "Our shields are holding, but barely. They've adapted to our tactics, countering our moves with uncanny precision. Their firepower is overwhelming. We've lost contact with several of our cruisers. The human fleet is pushing us back." The commander clenched his fists, his mind working quickly. Humanity's sudden resurgence had taken them all by surprise. The human ships were not just equipped with superior weapons, they were organized, tactical, and efficient in ways they hadn't anticipated. It wasn't just their technology, it was their strategy. It was clear now that the humans had been preparing for this moment for a long time. "All fleet commanders retreat to secondary positions. Regroup and prepare for another wave," the commander ordered, his voice unwavering despite the chaos unfolding around him. "Commander, we've received a transmission from the human flagship," the communications officer said, his voice tense. It's from Earth." The word sent a shiver through the commander's spine. He had never believed in the stories, in the myths that Earth was anything but a dead world. Yet here it was. Humanity had returned, and now they were fighting with a ferocity that spoke of something more than just survival. It was a fight for their rightful place in the galaxy. "Patch it through," the commander ordered. The room fell, silent as the transmission came through, the holographic display flickering to life. A voice echoed across the bridge, calm yet filled with an unmistakable strength. "This is Captain Evelyn Mars of the Terran fleet. To the alien forces attacking our sector, we speak not for conquest, but for justice. You destroyed our home. You erased our people, but we are still here, and we are not your enemies, unless you make us." The commander's eyes narrowed as the words hit him like a hammer blow. The humans were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for something much deeper. They were fighting for revenge, for justice against those who had obliterated their home. Captain Mars continued, her voice steady but firm. "We know you've underestimated us. We were not extinct. and we were never gone. Our technology has only grown more advanced in our isolation. But now we are not alone. We will rebuild what you destroyed, and we will take back what is ours. The transmission cut off abruptly, and the bridge fell into a tense silence. The commander felt his heart pound in his chest. The message was clear. Humanity had returned, and they were not going to back down. "Commander, we've intercepted another transmission from Earth," the communications officer said, voice strained. "It's coming from the human flagship's command center. It's a distress signal." "Put it on," the commander ordered, though he could already guess what it would say. The hologram flickered again, and this time a different voice came through, one that was desperate, laced with fear. "This is General Harlan Green of the Terran Defense Force. We are under attack. The alien fleet has overwhelmed our defenses. We need immediate reinforcements." The transmission cut off suddenly, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. The commander stood motionless for a long moment, his mind whirling with the implications. Humanity was fighting for its very existence, but now it seemed as though their forces were faltering. The commander's gaze shifted to the tactical display, where the human fleet's movements had grown more erratic. They were fighting with desperation, but the balance of power was tipping. "Commander," the tactician spoke again, her voice tight, with urgency. "The humans are regrouping. They've activated the last of their remaining fleet, an ancient Titan-class ship. It's moving toward our position." The words hit the commander like a shockwave. A Titan-class ship. The humans had once built warships of unimaginable power, capable of withstanding entire fleets on their own. But such ships had been long abandoned, their designs lost to time. If one of those ships was active, it could tip the scales of the battle. "All ships fall back," the commander ordered immediately. "We need to reposition and regroup, prepare for an all-out assault if necessary." But even as he gave the orders, the commander knew that this battle was no longer about strategy or firepower. This was about something far more visceral, something deep in the heart of every living creature, something that could not be quantified by weapons or shields. This was a battle for survival, a battle for the future. The Titan-class ship emerged from the depths of the asteroid field, its silhouette cutting through the darkness like a ghost from the past. The alien ships faltered as the human vessel made its approach, its massive guns charging with terrifying energy. The sight of the Titan-class ship was like a reminder of humanity's power, something that had been buried for centuries, but was now rising again. "Activate all defenses," the commander shouted, his voice sharp with command. "We cannot let them breach our lines." The Titan-class ship fired its first salvo, and the entire battlefield seemed to shake with the force of its weaponry. The alien fleet struggled to respond, their shields weakening under the onslaught. The Titan-class ship was unstoppable, tearing through their defenses with a fury that left the commander no room for doubt. "We're losing," the tactician muttered, her voice filled with disbelief. The alien flagship was now surrounded, its shields failing under the barrage of human fire. The commander knew that this was the turning point. There was no escaping the inevitable. "Prepare to evacuate," the commander said, his voice cold, resigned. "We'll regroup on the next staging point. Let the humans have this victory." As the commander turned to leave the bridge, he couldn't help but glance one last time at the holographic display, where the human Titan-class ship loomed victorious. Humanity had returned, not as a shadow of its former self, but as a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy had been wrong about Earth, and now, as the battle came to a close, the commander knew that this was only the beginning. The legend of humanity was far from over. Far across the galaxy, on Earth's surface, the remnants of humanity stood tall once again. Their flag, once thought lost, fluttered in the wind, a symbol of their resilience, their defiance. The legacy of Earth had been buried beneath layers of time and myth, but the human spirit had never been extinguished. And now, with the galaxy watching, they were ready to reclaim their place. As the commander of the alien fleet retreated, the message was clear. Humanity had returned to stay. The galaxy would never forget who they were, and humanity would make sure of it.